personally as of yet. I'm going to begin with Madam Secretary, starting with our minutes from our last meeting.
Sure. Hold on, let me pull those up here. I was typing our current ones. Okay, our last meeting was on March 11th at 6 p.m. We were in person at 105 West Chesapeake Avenue. Just a general overview of our meeting. So we had a call to order by Chairperson Thornton. And then a program manager, David Skinner, provided the HRC staff report. And we were going to talk about the bylaw approval, but that was tabled at the moment. There was a report on operational status. The HRC is still missing an executive director, and the acting ED is Renee Coleman. David Bibios and Ashley will act as staff support. Interviews are being conducted for additional committee members, including 2 student members. Ashley Elliott provided an update on Title IX. Baltimore County has 1 contract currently active that has federal language requirements, and a department liaison has been assigned. Bibios said that outreach opportunities with 3 budget town halls were coming up. Those happened in the past, but March 22nd, there was also a Maryland Commission on Civil Rights, which was hosting a movie viewing followed by a panel discussion led by women veterans. And then March 29th, the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights was also hosting a panel at Anne Arundel Community College. There was a chairperson's report, so the discussion of the committees and explanation of tasks and timelines with a review of expectations and task lists together. Each subcommittee should be working, I apologize, my husband's announcing dinner right now, so that's going to happen. Each subcommittee should be working on additional tasks in between the Human Relations Commission meetings and reporting back to the committee. We needed to identify the leaders who wanted to coordinate those meetings. And then we broke out into session for the committees with a discussion of next steps for each leader of each subcommittee. The Commissioner District Report, so Chairperson Thornton brought up that there was an event for nonprofit leaders on March 26th, and that following Saturday, the Associated Black Charities is hosting a financial event in Towson for young people 12 to 16, and they have partnered with CQ. There was a discussion of budget cuts and shifting in the current climate of reduction and / federal funding. And then as far as new business, the meeting calendar had been updated and shared out. Closed case business process was discussed to understand the long-term goals of the commission and its involvement. As far as the bylaws, Judge Greer was nominated as vice chairperson. The vote was moved and seconded. Bylaws were motioned for and approved and seconded. We approved meeting minute notes from 2/10/25, which were also seconded. There was no guest speaker, no questions or feedback, and then we were adjourned.
Great, thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there any changes or amendments to the minutes? All being quiet, do we have a motion to accept the minutes? First motion? I'll raise my hand.
This is Andrea. I will second that motion.
Okay, wonderful. The minutes have been accepted. Now we'll move on to our HRC Administrative Staff Report. Mr. Skinner?
Yes, good evening, everybody. And for anyone, any constituents tuning in, my name is David Skinner. I'm the Program Manager of the Baltimore County Human Relations Commission. I will share a few updates. Currently, the commission, which is by county code, has a capacity of 15 members. Currently, we're operating with 9. I've been in the process over the past 2 months of interviewing potential candidates. I sent about 4 recommendations to the county executive's office about 2 weeks ago. So it's up to the executive's office of strategic partnerships and alliances to review those recommendations then they'll provide it for the county executive, upon which the county executive will make their decision in terms of who would be appointed next to the commission. Also, along with our, our staff, Vivios La Rochelle, we interviewed 2 additional candidates just this week. So those recommendations are being prepared to also send across the street to the county executive's office. Along with those prior recommendations were 2 student candidates, so it would be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm not sure if you all have ever had any student commissioners in your tenure, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some engagement from some of the youth in the community. And as I was mentioning earlier in the sidebar conversation with Judge Greer, a couple of legislative updates. Just had sine die. The Maryland General Assembly just completed their 2025 session. Senator Sidnor's Fair Housing Testing Recording Bill, it's Senate Bill 107, once again got stuck in the House Judiciary Committee. So that won't be seeing the light of day this year. That is a bill that seeks to allow the use of audio recording devices when qualified fair housing or testing organizations go out and test rental housing providers to determine if they are operating within the confines of fair housing laws. So they just want the ability, just like about 21 other states do throughout the nation, to have the ability to record those conversations without the subjects being aware of that recording. This kind of like same thing as like secret shopping. If you go to a retail store or a restaurant. Also, the Supreme Court of Maryland granted certiorari, and the Maryland Attorney General submitted an amicus brief in support of a plaintiff whose source of income case was found in favor of the rental property owner. That was here in Baltimore County. For those of you who don't know, if someone applies for rental housing and they're using a voucher, then rental providers require of everyone, regardless of that you're utilizing a voucher or not, to pass or be sufficient in terms of their income eligibility requirement. And they go by a formula, usually 3 times the rent or 2.5 times the rent, where they want the applicant's income to be at that level, where it's 2.5 or 3 times the rent. And because Maryland's Home Act legislation, Baltimore County's Home Act legislation, does not have specific language in it that addresses that income eligibility requirement, the Baltimore County Court found in favor of the defendant, and in this case it was the rental property owner, who said that this voucher holder did not meet that 3 times the rent income threshold. And the applicant's argument was that so they're not going to be responsible for the entire amount of the rent. They're only going to be responsible for a portion of the rent because their voucher pays the majority of the rent. So there's a small amount for which they were responsible. And when you put that formula, that 3 times the rent formula for which they're responsible up against their monthly income, they met that threshold. Mm. So what we're looking for now is to see on May 5th, that's when oral arguments are scheduled. And after that oral argument, the court will deliberate and then issue an opinion later. Let's see. And then I want to go ahead and pass it on to my colleague, Vivios La Rochelle, to talk about pending outreach opportunities that might exist for commissioners to partake in.
So for this month, there isn't any outreach opportunities, but there are some webinars and seminars that I would like to share with you guys if you are available to attend. A lot of them are focused on Fair Housing Month, but just because April is Fair Housing Month. I have shared some already in the past, and I've seen that, and I've gotten some responses back that you guys have, that you were able to register for it and will be attending the info session or webinar. So please just check your emails to double check if you are available to sign up for any of those webinars.
The next one, if I'm correct, is it on April the 16th? Is that correct?
Yes.
Fair housing for tenants with disabilities?
Yes.
Okay. I did receive that, so I just want to, make sure the other commissioners know to check their emails, because I'm sure they probably received it as well. There's no report by our chair this evening, so we'll move to the subcommittee reports. Are there any subcommittee reports for this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the commissioners' district reports. Any commissioners like to report about anything that's going on in their district?
District 6 doesn't have anything to report.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Okay, so we'll move on to new business. It's a review of the SOP. Mr. Skinner, do you have any information for that?
I have a slide presentation.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
I'll share the screen. Correct presentation. Does everyone have the view of this first slide, standard operating procedure?
It looks like like a screensaver.
Yeah.
Let's see. On screen.
It was just up.
It was up that time?
Yeah.
Okay. Can everyone see it now?
No, I don't see it.
It's
Now
there
I
now.
see it.
Now it's here. Oh, no.
Now?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to review. I'm sure some of you probably seen the document, the standard operating procedure document. So what I wanted to do is just kind of display it in this slide format, and also try to take care to link some of the procedure to Article 29, the provisions in Article 29 or Title 3 or Section 11 of the Baltimore County Code.
Mr. Skinner, do you want
Yes.
us to read?
No, I'm
Or-
I'm just trying to make sure I got my windows straight.
Okay,
These little micro windows are kind of getting in my way. Okay,
thank you.
so the Human Relations Commission mission, vision, the legal purpose, per Article 29. In the definitions, right there in Title 1, you'll see that it lists out the specific areas of discrimination that we're charged with enforcing civil rights protections. And those areas are housing, employment, education, public accommodations, and finance. This is just an excerpt from the definition section. It goes on to list a bunch more terms that are used throughout this section and throughout Article 29. Just a little bit more drill down in terms of the charge and the jurisdiction. And it's broken down into Article 29 by these 4 subtitles. Again, discrimination in housing, discrimination in employment, discrimination in public accommodations, discrimination in financing. In terms of employment, discrimination in the discharge or hire of a person, inequitable pay, compensation, or other terms or conditions of employment. But we don't have any jurisdiction over employment issues as it pertains to Baltimore County government itself. The government has its own process dealing with that. In terms of housing, kind of when I talked about in my report, those were kind of 2 examples of issues. That source of income issue that's in the courts right now, and legislation that they're trying to pass to make it law, giving fair housing testers the right to record. But in terms of discrimination that constituents might face during the process of trying to rent a home, trying to buy a home, trying to obtain a mortgage when trying to buy a home, and that would be covered under discrimination in financing here in subtitle 4. We see lending institutions, loan approval, fixing on the down payment, interest rate, durations, or other terms of the loan. And then discrimination in public accommodations sometimes can be connected to housing, but overall, this has to do with public spaces such as businesses, restaurants, things of that nature, and making sure that people have accessibility, whether it be a physical accommodation that they need, or even something like language accessibility, different just things that provides everybody with the same opportunity to enjoy and have the same equitable use of a facility.
Mr. Skinner,
Yes, ma'am.
before you move on, based on the data so far, are you seeing equal numbers in the complaints across each area, or is there like some
So,
indication that some are more prevalent than others?
so I'm looking forward to getting more into the data as well. I haven't had enough time in the seat yet to drill down into the trends. Just from my tenure here, I've been here since February, and there've only been a few complaints that have even come in. And we'll be discussing one of them later as a closed case.
Okay.
The other is closed too, but the standard operating procedure is that the file has to be closed for a month or more before it can be eligible for review by the commissioners.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Now, in terms of organizational structure, the Human Relations Commission, again, is codified entity responsible for the oversight of the county's civil rights enforcement. And we are within the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, or the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which itself is within the Office of Human Resources. So the HRC again works with the authority of the Baltimore County Municipal Code, Article 29, Title 3, and Subtitle 11. Article 29 again drills down into the areas over which we have jurisdiction to enforce anti-discrimination laws. Title III is more of a drill down into the Human Relations Commission itself and its powers. And subtitle 11 is kind of more of an overview of the commission and some of its miscellaneous powers and the powers and responsibilities of the executive director of the commission. And here you see also just cited the key roles within this organizational structure is the HRC executive director, who must be appointed by the county executive and also serves as the chief of the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The HRC administrator, program manager, at this time, that's me, HRC executive staff, compliance specialist, like my colleague, Bibios La Rochelle, and you all, the Human Relations Commission commissioners. So the executive director attends and oversees all HRC meetings, approves complaint findings, resolutions, testifies before county council, gives advice to the council, to the county executive on civil rights policy, and also represents the commission to other stakeholders throughout government and throughout the community. The administrator slash program manager manages daily operations, staff supervision. I lead the complaint processing and mediation coordination. I prepare briefings for you all, the commissioners. I prepare briefings for leadership. Right now, in absence of the executive director, coordinates legal referrals and public outreach. The executive staff, the compliance specialist, they spearhead the investigations, also working with the commission in terms of meeting logistics, all the administrative support, and logistics for hearings and outreach events. For the complaint life cycle under the SOP, I'm sorry, duplicate slide. So the complaint life cycle starts off when someone alerts us that they have a complaint or they make an inquiry. We take them through the process of intake, getting all the details, finding out all about the event, getting information about the respondents with whom they have the complaint. And then the investigation begins. And through that investigation, we try to determine if the complaint has merit, and then it's up to the executive director to determine if there's reasonable cause. And then there's a whole process beyond that. If there's reasonable cause, or if there's no reasonable cause, and the complainant disagrees with that and tries to appeal that decision, then it can move further to a fact-finding hearing and even possibly a dispute resolution cycle. Make sure I'm at the right slide. Okay. So complaint intake and consideration procedures. I just gave a brief overview of all that. Some key points about it. The complaints must be filed in 180 days of the alleged act. Anything beyond that, and it's beyond our jurisdiction, we would have to refer that complainant to the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights, where they have a 300-day period within which someone can file a complaint. So that, and then beyond them, the Maryland Attorney General's office, they have a 365-day period within which someone can file a complaint. So that may be something that we can look at and reevaluate to be more in alignment with state partners. Now, with that initial review, the administrator presents to the executive director within 14 business days. Executive director makes that final decision on investigation within 30 days. And everything, again, is reviewed within that lens of jurisdiction under Article 29. And with that investigative process, the compliance specialist does that meat and potatoes aspect of the interview or the investigation, interviewing the complainant, respondents, and witnesses, collecting any evidence in terms of documents, photographs, whatever to support or refute the claim. And now the executive director must issue findings via certified mail. This is actually in the article. I've really been trying to get really down into the weeds of Article 29 to understand and see what mechanisms we really need to be operating under. So findings must be issued via certified mail. I didn't realize that again until I dug down deep into it. So in the finding must either cite reasonable cause or no reasonable cause as a determination. If reasonable cause is found within 30 days, the executive director shall attempt to rectify the violation by conference or conciliation or persuasion. If no reasonable cause has been found, the executive director shall issue a decision and an order advising parties of their right to request an administrative hearing before the commission within 20 days. Now, mediation can be offered at any stage if both parties agree to it. If unresolved, a fact-finding hearing may be held with the complainant, the respondent, and the HRC staff. Reconciliation agreements can be drafted when possible, and if required, a public hearing is scheduled with a panel of commissioners to render a decision. Now, the closed case review and pattern identification. There's quarterly distribution of the closed cases to the commissioners, and we distribute that in a redacted fashion to make sure we scrub it of any personal identifying information. There's a subcommittee analysis and a briefing to the full commission. The cases are reviewed for systematic patterns of discrimination. If those patterns emerge, the commission may hold special hearings about trying to address those patterns throughout the community, submit policy or legislative recommendations, or refer for public engagement or DEI community council support. And again, you see the reference to Title 3, 31105. And shown this is something like this is absolutely rooted in county code. Now, for complaints outside of HRC's jurisdiction, again, like I mentioned before, those things can be referred to entities such as Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights, HUD's Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity, and Baltimore County Public Schools for those matters concerning education. My understanding is that we don't have the ability or we don't have the jurisdiction over affairs within Baltimore County Public Schools, but we do in private schools. But I think that's going to be a matter for discussion later too. When we really look at Title 2 of Article 29 and look at exactly which subtitle areas are included and where one is missing or appears to be missing. So public meeting compliance. Monthly meetings are required. There are 9 per year that must be done. Anything over that is bonus. Attendance is tracked, minutes are taken and approved, and there's always public transparency and ADA accessibility is required, especially when requested. So we want to make sure, I know we have one of the subcommittees working on redeveloping the brochure, and I know that that's one of the things that they're keeping in mind, the ADA accessibility component of those materials. Commissioner engagement, the complaint process policy recommendations that we're looking for the commissioners to offer up, your recommendations in terms of policy. Looking at the closed case review and appeals, giving us any kind of recommendations in terms of how the handling was done. participating in community outreach, participating in the subcommittees, and if necessary, um, participating in administrative hearings. Also, let's see. So the closed case review process.
Mr. Skinner,
Yes,
I think you skipped over one slide.
it was a duplicate.
Okay,
Yeah, it was a duplicate. It looked kind of different, but it was the same.
okay, thank you.
And I'm not sure what's going on with this slide right here. Let's see if I can fix this. Okay, so closed case reviews. Under Title 31105, Baltimore County Government and the Human Relations Commission are committed to ensuring that all presented discrimination closed cases are reviewed by at least one commission member. There shall be an appointed subcommittee of the commission with at least 3 members, no more than 5, to review a closed case. Each new commissioner will be paired with the senior commissioner to review closed case files. The commissioner should identify societal trends between cases and establish if a case needs to be appealed and reopened or another action item. To be selected for review, a case must have entered as closed or discounted status at least 1 month prior or later to be selected for review. Again, these cases are distributed on a quarterly basis. They should be delivered electronically via secure transfer. I think we have the capability of sending them uh, via encryption. Reviews must include an overview summary by each reviewing commissioner, and complainant and respondent, again, personal identifiable information will be redacted. Closed cases should be reviewed by the subcommittee within 30 days upon receipt, and a written analysis of the case along with recommendations should be sent to the commission chair and executive director within 15 days after review. Presentation to the commission regarding the general analysis of the review along with the recommendations will convene at the next scheduled monthly meeting. If recommended action steps arise from a review, a majority vote must be recorded in order to proceed with recommended action steps with the HRC executive staff. And that concludes the presentation, and I believe Vibios has a closed case for you all to review. And this one should be very simple based on the nature of the inquiry and the complaint.
Isn't that closed case for them to review? 'Cause since it's confidential, not on here.
Uh, yeah, this should be sent to the commissioners. Right.
Yes, it was sent.
Right, okay. Yeah.
You said it was sent?
Yes.
Okay, because I definitely don't have it.
Can you resend that to everyone via encryption videos?
Yes.
I received it. Thank you.
Are you sending it out now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bibios, let me know when you've sent it because I'm looking for it now. So, Mr. Skinner, while we're
Yes.
working on that, when is this serving as our first review, or it's just like a tutorial and then?
It's kind of both because it's so simple. So I think I'm glad it's actually a simple one to kind of just walk through the process, build some familiarity with the document itself. And I would direct everyone to, again, to the Baltimore County Code, Title 3, 1105, and it actually addresses closed case review process. And I can share this, this slide presentation was shared with everyone, I believe, as well. I hope this would serve as good reference material for you as well.
Commissioner Greer, did you receive it?
Is it is it like a closed case brief?
Correct.
Are there two different
It's
attachments for it?
yes,
One has information redacted and the other does not. So I have two documents.
yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, the complaint intake form is is the one that kind of shows the redactions, and then the closed case brief is redacted in the sense that there's no identifiable information of the complainants or the respondents.
So, Mr. Skinner, is the qualifying requirement that you be a Baltimore County resident in order to file the complaint?
No, you don't have to be a Baltimore County resident, but the
So does it need to
location,
be?
right, the location where the alleged acts took place would have to be in Baltimore County.
Okay. I'm asking because I see this one. It looks like it's
In
not in
Florida.
Baltimore County.
I'm
Correct.
seeing something from Florida. Am I looking at the right thing?
Correct. And that Florida address is the address of the complainant.
Okay.
The address of through the course of the investigation, we learned that the address of the would-be respondent is in Baltimore City.
Okay. So can it be that the complainant resides in Baltimore County and that the occurrence happened at Baltimore County, or does it matter whether it happened at Baltimore County?
It would have to happen in Baltimore County for us to have jurisdiction.
Okay. Mr. Skinner, is there a next step? Are you waiting for everyone to have an opportunity to review?
Yeah, I just wanted everyone to have an opportunity to review. The next step would be for you to submit any comments or recommendations to us individually via email.
On what we've reviewed?
Yes. Actually, on the form, there's a section, a summary form at the very end. And it could even be comments like, the form itself. If you don't feel like the form is sufficient in terms of capturing data, if there's some metrics that are missing that could be very valuable in our work. When I actually, when we were preparing for this, the previous form felt like it needed, some enhancement. So this is a newer iteration of the form.
I do see on the intake form, number 5, it asks, there's a checkoff box if another jurisdiction name here. So typically, I guess if you have determined what jurisdiction, it looks like we did, it would go there, correct?
Correct. Yes. And that's, you said on the intake form,
Mm-hmm.
and which field is that?
It's number 5. under if this case needs to be referred. If yes, indicate below. So the box is checked off if another jurisdiction, but it says name here and it doesn't have Baltimore City there.
Got it. Yes. That's valuable feedback. Thank you. Anybody else, can you update that on the editable version of this?
Yes.
The box on page 3 of the brief,
Mhm.
is that the section that the commissioners provide some kind of feedback? I
Yes,
see it says commissioners only.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And it should expand. It's,
I'm probably under because I'm on my phone trying to, so I can't really make any comments on it.
I can email my feedback as well, but the only feedback I would have is if is it a specific note if the complaint is filed by in writing or just only call, because I can just show like a procedural transparency.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes. So my recommendation, and I might be overlooking it, so forgive me. Is there a section where we can indicate if the complainant filed only by in writing or only by call? Because that just can show procedural transparency.
If it's missing, then that sounds like a good recommendation that we need to make that adjustment.
Yes, I will email
It's
in.
at the top. It says mail, phone, in person, or emailed, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. On the intake form.
It's there though.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I might have overlooked that. Thank you.
Mr. Skinner, with the follow-up section, have you all found it necessary to continue after number 1? So if it doesn't fall under the jurisdiction of Baltimore County, then is it necessary to go any farther with some of it? For example, if they want to move forward with the complaint, they can't move forward with the complaint because it's fallen outside of our jurisdiction.
Correct. So, and you're referring to the closed case brief form or the?
It's the intake and the well, on my device it's showing as page 3, but it's under follow-up.
Okay. Right. So
So
then the
follow-up number 1. So if it doesn't fall under our jurisdiction, then it's nothing we can really do anyway other than refer it.
correct.
But we don't necessarily, I mean, of course we want to be as helpful as possible, but we don't have an obligation to do anything beyond that. So anything additional is just a kind gesture in providing whatever resources we may have. You know what I mean?
Ab-
So perhaps if
Absolutely.
from that point on, then it's just a matter of
Skip to
additional
item
notes.
5.
Yeah, you can skip number 2, number 3, number 4,
Mhm.
perhaps number 5 may be relevant, especially if you did make the referral to the Maryland Commission or the EEOC. But if that be the case, if another jurisdiction, it definitely want to fill out that section name here.
Right.
But you see what I mean? 2, 3, and 4 wouldn't be of any consequence.
Absolutely. So from what you're saying, you know, I agree. It makes sense to just say it. So if the answer is no for item number one on the follow-up, then
Yeah,
skip to item five.
correct,
In this case, need to be referred, yes, and then indicate where it was referred to.
correct.
Yep. Then I was still in the notes, just you know, anything that's relevant, and you know, just in, just affirming or confirming what final steps were done to,
cor-
you know,
Correct.
resolve this. Yep. And filing it as a closed status.
This is just a question, but if this form is available online and they submit it via email, is it only available in English or do we offer it in other languages?
So it's not available online yet.
Okay,
The goal is actually to build out a tool so that we can, you know, move into the 21st century like some other jurisdictions where you can file your complaints online. But in the meantime, this is just something that we record here
gotcha.
in HRC offices. Um, in some cases, we can even, you know, send it to the complainant if they want to fill it out, and then we'll review it, make sure it's filled out correctly, and make any kind of adjustments we might need to.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So to kind of piggyback off of that, when they get the form, are they able to download it at least? So are they able to print it from the site in some kind of way and then complete it and bring it in or mail it or something like that?
Well, we can email it to them. I don't think we would. I think right now we would be hard pressed of even getting approval to get it added to the site. Um,
Okay,
it- just you know, kind of the way things are moving right now.
okay,
But you know, when we talk with them, when they make that initial inquiry with us, then we're going to either fill it out while we've got them on the phone, or from the information that we gather from the email communication. But you know, ultimately, we're going to get on the phone with them so that we
okay.
can confirm all the information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And to also to address your other point, Commissioner Davis, yes, we can get it. We have translation services where we can adjust it for whatever language the complainant might speak.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would probably put commissioners only in all caps or to be completed by commissioners only so it stands out. Because
Okay.
remember, I just had to ask the question, where am I making
No problem.
comments at?
No problem.
But it's good that it's in red.
And I just revisited my comment of why I said that, and I just emailed you guys my feedback. The reason why I asked if the intake was taken in multiple forms, because at the bottom of the brief it said that there was a call that was made, and then at the top it only checks off that email was how the phone was, well, how the intake was received. So it just presents a little discrepancy. Well, the perception could be that there's a discrepancy when there's not really a discrepancy.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying we need to record how we uh, exactly how the complaint or the inquiry was presented to us, whether it was phone, email.
Yes, so in this case, we
Right.
could have checked off two options, email and phone, because we did do our due diligence to review both items.
So perhaps we can address it in the actual, let's see, in the intake form, where I can include a field that captures or how the complaint was, how we actually conducted that intake, whether it's
Yes.
phone or email.
And it might be redundant, but I think it might be worthwhile to add the question twice too, because once you receive the initial intake, you probably forget once you have that conversation or how that additional communication transpires. But yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be also in the fact finding? So one, I would probably move the inquiry type where it says check the box. Maybe center that.
And again, we're talking about the intake form.
We're talking about the intake form.
Okay.
Yeah, I would probably center that so it's right there smack in front of you. I think that may be also why Commissioner White didn't see it right there because it's kind of off to the right now.
Trying to find the original editable version.
And it also can show that we did like multiple methods of reaching out to this individual too.
So when inside of the brief, I would think that in the fact finding, it may be mentioned there again.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That you spoke to like whatever methods were used to obtain facts probably would be mentioned there. So if you had a personal conversation or met with the person or talked to a particular person on the phone and what date or whatever, it may be there.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how much detail you all require for the fact finding. So like you said, this is kind of a straightforward case. So we're
Right.
not really getting to see how that would typically be spelled out.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of straight to the point outside of the jurisdiction. Do you all have a, a, a template of any sort? And of course, I'm not suggesting that it's within the scope of what we would give input on as commissioners, but do you typically have a required template for fact finding?
No, but definitely looking to take anything under advisement you might want to recommend.
Okay.
Yeah, I love templates. So
Okay. All right. So I can take a look and just from a judicial eye,
okay.
come up with a template to consider for fact finding purposes. If you all don't currently have one that you typically use.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
And what's kind of interesting is you probably will have some common fact finding questions.
Mm-hmm.
But then for depending on the category, whether it's housing or what have you, they may look very different. Okay, so you have some common questions that you would ask, but then some that are more specific to the area of discrimination.
Right.
Do you all have a couple of closed cases that are more complex in each of those areas?
In which specific area?
All of them.
All of them. I can look through them. Vivios might be more familiar with it to answer that, but I can look through it to find out, and that can be something else that we can take a look at.
Yeah, because I'm thinking it's few enough of us at this point
Mm-hmm.
that perhaps we could dedicate some time to looking through examples, more complex ones of each of them, and it would be a little bit easier than pulling the rabbit out of the hat. I could come up with some general questions um, and probably some specific ones too, but I think it helps if it's in real time,
Mhm.
where we're looking through it together.
Mhm.
And at the same time, some of the commissioners that may not have any background in reviewing cases, it's maybe an opportunity for them to get some training on an eye for that as well.
And
Absolutely.
that's a really good point, because when you mentioned that, my first thought was, would this be a good training tool if it was within our jurisdiction? How would we approach this specific example if that were the case?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that, because as I've been, again, just kind of sitting here and uh, trying to get up to speed, and seeing how Article 29 is laid out. For example, it seems like the area of housing and public accommodation could be well met by an investigator with a specific set of skills,
Hmm.
um, as opposed to the area of employment and financing, which
Hmm.
might be better handled by an investigator with a specific set of skills.
Yeah, but we could. I mean, I think that we could probably, depending
Mhm.
on how complex the issues are, we could probably carve out 1 to 2,
Yeah,
cases together, unless we want to, and of course, we'd have to, talk with Madam Chair about it.
yeah,
Um, Potentially, we could have a meeting set aside just for case
just
review,
one.
which may take a little bit more time. Yes,
No, I'm
of
all for
course,
that, because I
but
know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, but yeah, I would be willing to go over the files with all of the commissioners and just kind of, train their eye a bit in what they're looking at. And in doing that, we can come up with a working template moving forward, even for the staff as well.
Absolutely. That was the point I was going to make. I really look forward to that, because that will only enhance our ability and capability.
Okay. Was there anything else from any of the commissioners? Any feedback? Bibios, did you have anything that you would want to add on that subject matter?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to, because it looks like we don't have all of the commissioners here this evening, but I'm sure that Madam Chair would want to encourage all of us to come together on our subcommittees. And if we have not already elected or decided on a chair for each of those subcommittees, I'm sure she would encourage that, so that there is some reporting back to the commission on progress or to-do list, whatever we may be working on. So I would encourage all of us to communicate by email. Those of us who have already decided what subcommittees we're going to be on, so that we are prepared for a chair to provide some kind of feedback to Madam Chair at the next meeting. Any questions or feedback on that?
No, I agree.
No, thank you.
Okay, great. So having said all of that, Mr. Skinner, is there any closing remarks from you or Bibios?
I definitely want to add that I have been in touch, and been included in the loop of the subcommittee work of education and awareness. Um, that's Commissioners McCready and Commissioner Marshall. I know Commissioner McCready, she sent an email saying that she was not able to join us this evening. And it looks like Commissioner Marshall is with us, but on the phone. Um, but they laid out a whole action plan in terms of their work to revise the brochure, the HRC brochure, and to also work on a series of webinars with a projection of one webinar a month that covers, and I would suggest covers one of the top 4 areas of our jurisdiction, the same vein that you're speaking of, Judge Greer.
That sounds great. Did you say that one of the commissioners that's on that subcommittee is on the phone?
Yeah, I did see Commissioner Daniel Marshall on the phone.
Commissioner Marshall, can you hear us?
Yes, I thought I saw him.
I think she sent an email earlier. She's as as an attendee, and I'm not sure that she's able to
Oh,
unmute herself.
she said yes,
Yeah, but she can't unmute.
but she can't. Okay. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, for the work that you all have done thus far. And Mr. Skinner, I know at the last meeting I wasn't physically present, but my subcommittee, and I think that Madam Secretary, you're on that committee with us, correct? Okay. I think we were asking for some follow-up with uh, Ramona, if you do have communication with her, just to get some of the contacts for many of the community partners that we were kind of working with before
Okay,
the changes, so that we can follow up and begin to compile a list of community
absolutely.
partners as well.
I'll send her an email this evening and reach out with that request.
And then in keeping with the intake sheet as a possible referral, I know you said that Baltimore County Public Schools falls outside of our jurisdiction. Could we also add as I sit on this council, oh my goodness, and Mr. Skinner, I know you're familiar with Dr. Handy.
Well, I haven't met him yet.
Okay, so I think it would be great to have him come out and speak, but I sit on the Equity Advisory Council for Baltimore County Public Schools.
Okay,
And of course, they are very open to receiving any kind of complaints and, feedback. I don't know that they're set up to necessarily conduct investigation, but we certainly do receive feedback from parents and stakeholders in the community, and we attempt to advocate for changes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And much of that would include discrimination as well. And
right.
so it may be a consideration to add them on that list of possible referral. I'll speak to Dr. Handy about it before you implement that change, just to see if he would be willing to, if they have a website or something like that, that people can at least be made aware that that could be a stop point to get some resources and some assistance.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, so if there's no other remarks or feedback, our next meeting is scheduled for May the 14th of this year, and at 6 p.m. Is it going to be virtual as well, Mr. Skinner, or possibly in person, or you'll send it out by email?
I believe that next meeting is virtual. Let me check on my calendar. That is also a virtual meeting. Yep,
Okay, perfect. And will the link and password stay the same, but you'll send out a reminder?
absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much this evening. I hope you have a blessed remaining evening and a great upcoming weekend soon. All right.
Thank you
So with
very
that, our
much.
meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Madam
Thank
Vice Chair.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all the other commissioners who joined us this evening. I appreciate you, and anyone in the public who joined us and tuned in. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good
With that,
night.
maybe you can end the recording. Judge Greer?